In the spring of 1925, Paris was thriving, but its most famous monument was quietly falling apart into rust. A small newspaper article detailed how the Eiffel Tower, built as a temporary structure, was becoming far too expensive to maintain. Sitting in a sunny Parisian cafe, a smooth-talking con artist named Victor Lustig read the article and smiled a very dangerous smile. While ordinary criminals saw a rusty metal tower, Lustig saw the ultimate opportunity to execute the greatest scam of the 20th century. The French government was genuinely debating what to do with the rusting eyesore, and Lustig decided he would make the decision for them. He wasn't going to rob a bank or forge a check. He was going to secretly sell the Eiffel Tower to the highest bidder. To pull off a con of this astronomical magnitude, Lustig knew that absolute, unquestionable institutional authority was his most powerful weapon. He hired a master forger to create highly detailed, perfectly faked government stationery bearing the official seal of the French government. He crafted a fake identification card declaring himself to be the Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs. Armed with fake authority, he booked the most expensive, secretive suite at the Hotel de Crillon, a prestigious hotel used by diplomats. Lustig then sent out official letters on his forged stationery to 5 of the wealthiest scrap metal dealers in all of Paris. The letters requested their urgent, highly confidential presence at the hotel to discuss a massive, highly sensitive upcoming government engineering contract. Believing they were on the verge of a lucrative government deal, all 5 prominent businessmen arrived promptly at the luxurious hotel suite. Lustig greeted them wearing a sharply tailored charcoal suit, pouring expensive cognac and projecting the weary aura of a stressed government bureaucrat. He spoke in hushed tones, warning the men that the information he was about to share was an absolute top-secret state matter. He explained that the Eiffel Tower was completely structurally compromised, requiring millions of francs in urgent repairs the government could not afford. Therefore, the President of France had made a quiet, controversial decision. The iconic Eiffel Tower was going to be completely torn down. The massive structure would be dismantled, and the government was looking to quietly sell the 7,000 tons of scrap metal. The scrap metal dealers were absolutely stunned, yet the story completely made sense given the public newspaper reports of the tower's decay. Lustig then took the 5 men on a private, guided tour of the Eiffel Tower, flashing his fake government badge at the workers. Bypassing the ticket lines, they walked around the massive iron base, while Lustig masterfully pointed out the severe rust and decaying rivets. This tour wasn't just to sell the lie. Lustig was carefully studying the psychology of each of the 5 men as they walked. He was looking for the perfect mark, someone greedy enough to want the deal, but insecure enough to be easily manipulated and controlled. He quickly identified a man named André Poisson, a wealthy but socially anxious dealer who desperately wanted to elevate his status. Poisson felt like an outsider in the elite Parisian business world and believed this massive government contract would finally bring him respect. Lustig sent the other 4 dealers home, secretly contacting Poisson to inform him that his bid had been quietly selected by the ministry. Poisson was thrilled but also incredibly nervous. He returned to the Hotel de Crillon the next day, carrying a briefcase full of doubts. Poisson's wife had warned him that the deal seemed far too secretive, too rushed, and entirely too good to be completely true. Sitting in the lavish suite, Poisson began asking tough questions, demanding to know why everything was happening behind closed doors without public notice. Lustig realized his multi-million franc scam was suddenly on the verge of total collapse if he couldn't instantly calm Poisson's growing suspicions. In a stroke of sheer criminal genius, Lustig leaned forward, lowered his voice, and completely changed his entire bureaucratic persona on the spot. He confessed to Poisson that his government salary was terribly small, and maintaining his lavish diplomatic lifestyle was becoming completely impossible to manage. Lustig implied that the only way to guarantee Poisson won the contract was if Poisson was willing to provide a substantial private bribe. This was the ultimate psychological trick. Poisson immediately relaxed, because a corrupt government official asking for a bribe made absolute, perfect sense. The request for a bribe didn't scare Poisson away. It completely convinced him that Lustig was a genuine, greedy Parisian politician. Relieved by the familiar corruption, Poisson reached into his coat and handed over a massive stack of high-denomination cash as a personal bribe. But the bribe was just the appetizer. Poisson then handed over an enormous certified bank draft for the full purchase of the Eiffel Tower. In today's money, Lustig had just convinced a rational businessman to hand over millions of dollars for a monument he did not own. Lustig solemnly handed Poisson an absolutely worthless, beautifully forged piece of government paper declaring him the new owner of the Eiffel Tower. They shook hands warmly, with Poisson believing he had just secured his legacy, and Lustig knowing he had just pulled off the impossible. Within an hour of Poisson leaving the hotel, Lustig packed his suitcases, grabbed the massive pile of cash, and rushed to the train station. He boarded an express train crossing the border into Austria, slipping comfortably away into the luxurious safety of a high-end Vienna hotel. Back in Paris, Poisson confidently arrived at the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, presenting his official forged document to tear down the tower. The real government officials stared at him in absolute bewilderment, informing the devastated businessman that they had absolutely no idea who Victor Lustig was. The crushing realization hit Poisson like a freight train. He had been masterfully conned out of his entire fortune by a complete phantom. But Lustig had correctly calculated one critical psychological factor. Poisson was deeply insecure and terrified of becoming a laughingstock in the Parisian business world. If Poisson went to the police, the newspapers would ruthlessly mock him forever as the gullible idiot who bought the Eiffel Tower. Too ashamed to admit his profound foolishness, Poisson quietly absorbed the devastating financial ruin, entirely refusing to report the massive crime to the authorities. In Vienna, Lustig carefully scanned the Parisian newspapers every single morning, waiting for the explosive headline announcing the discovery of his audacious fraud. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. There were no police sketches, no wanted posters, and absolutely zero headlines. The silence proved that his psychological assessment of Poisson was absolutely flawless. The victim's crushing pride had completely protected the architect of the scam. Lustig lived like a king in Austria, drinking fine wine and laughing at how easily he had exploited the vulnerability of institutional trust. But con artists are rarely satisfied with just one victory, and Lustig's ego swelled to dangerous, almost mythological proportions following his grand success. Exactly 6 months later, Lustig packed his bags, boarded a train, and returned to Paris to try and sell the Eiffel Tower again. His second attempt was eventually flagged to the police, but Lustig managed to evade capture and flee to America, taking his stolen fortune. The story of Victor Lustig remains a stunning testament to the sheer power of unwavering confidence and the dangerous illusion of official authority. He understood that people rarely question a well-dressed man holding a forged government document, especially if it promises them a massive financial advantage. The systems we trust to protect us are only as strong as the pieces of paper that validate them, and paper is easily faked. André Poisson lost his fortune and his dignity, suffering in complete silence to protect his fragile reputation while the mastermind enjoyed the spoils. Because the architects of the grandest scandals almost always walk away, while those who blindly trust the system pay the ultimate price.